Hi everybody, my name's Chet Doxas and welcome to my video blog interview series. This is the first interview in the series and I had the pleasure of sitting down with a longtime friend and great pianist Steve Amirault. We got to talk about some of his ideas and concepts that he brings to music, and I learned a lot, so I hope you get something from it too. Any questions or comments that you may have are really encouraged, and you can leave them at my blog at chetdoxas.com, and I'm also going to be posting this on Facebook so we can get the conversation going that way. Thanks for checking it out, and more to come.
But as far as letting something in, it is all choices. You can't use everything, and whether it's your goal is to create a personal sound or not, I don't know, but you have to let certain things go. There's certain things you can't use when you're playing if you don't want to be jumping all around in styles. And you go hear some people play where it sounds really beautiful, and then they'll do something that's like from a completely different period, right in the middle of something modern or whatever. And it's like, it's not that it's not valid or great, but you have to always be composing. So if you have a certain sound, certain voicings aren't going to work in a line, you know, and certain lines aren't going to work either. So it's tough sometimes, because when you can do stuff, you have to let it go. So what I do is I kind of run stuff through a filter, and it may take a really long time before it actually gets into to me playing it. And sometimes, as you know, sometimes there's really strong reasons why it's not going to work. You actually don't hear it, you actually don't like it, or whatever, but it takes a time sort of to get there. Like mixing this record I'm doing, I get to this one point where, this was just last week, I do this really cool thing that I've been working on for a really long time, and it doesn't fit. And Paul and I were there thinking, well, that's really hip, but when you listen to what's happening, it's like pianistic, that with the piano players would be, oh, that's cool, you know. Right. But it doesn't flow, it doesn't fit. So I'm actually not using that device on this record because it just doesn't, you know. Meanwhile, I've been working on that for, you know, the last 3 years or something. Right. You know? So it's just, you have to, you know, find that balance. But
like something,
something specific.
Yeah, I mean, some of the emotions that or some of the words that come to mind when I hear you play is there's a very open, there's a vastness to your playing that I really like. Like there's I find this is just something personal that draws me into certain players. There's players that have a vast scope, and sometimes you can get that right down to a sound that has a lot of directions. You can go a lot of places. It can almost be it can be its own thing, or it can be a pivot for something.
Ambiguous a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so that's one of the qualities about your playing, and I just thought, have you ever thought about that, or is that something that's drawing you to music, and you wanted to get that idea into your play?
Well, it's like, especially as a comper, right? How do you pick a style, right? You're playing with guys that maybe play modern, or guys that play a little bit more old school, you know, and is there a way to play that can work with both? A lot of what I do is scale planing, I guess.
Okay.
You know, where you move things through the scale, so you create tension sometimes from just having a different bass note. It's not the bass note, but it might just be from the scale that you wouldn't expect it to be in the low end of the piano. So it creates tension, but it's still, you know, the guys, a few bass players that I play with who don't hear that or are not sure what I'm doing, they think I'm playing substitutes. So they'll move around, we'll play tritones and all that stuff, and it doesn't really work. A lot of it comes from the sound of the scale. It just might be in a place you don't expect. If you're playing F minor, and you play this, if I'm playing F minor and I play this, it's still F minor. It's G is in the bass, and T, A flat, it's a flat 9 interval. So then if I play jazz, right? So you're kind of, it's the same thing that everybody plays, but that makes it kind of, pulls you out. Whereas if I'm doing this, it's a lot more easy to do.
Right, you don't know it.
So a lot of that too.
So it's interesting with the orchestration of the sound. Like if you play them low, it gives it more of a it gives a lot more obviously weight, but kind of cloaks it a little bit too, right?
Yeah, it's not as well though. If I did it there, it's still it's just F minor, you know, and it's also B flat 7.
Right.
So I don't even have to go to a. So if I do this 2, 5, let's say I did 1, right? Yeah. So the bass player is walking, and you heard. You're not sure exactly what it is. I don't know if that's the best example, but you know. So if you take that through every degree of a scale, then you're allowed to play any of those for your F minor. But you just got to hear it so that you can. That's what I really like. It's got the 13th involved, right? So nobody has to change anything. It's not a substitution. It's just a different color.
That's diminished harmony is something you really work through, like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Just
I have sketchbooks full of it. I don't remember most of it, but I was really interested in the same sort of idea as you're talking about taking, for instance, the minor 6 thing, right? If you start on a minor 6, we're in C, and go up through the diminished scale, right? You do get your 4 minor 6, right? You also get this sound in between, which we can call, I don't know, this sound. I guess it's that, right? So in between,
the version of
sorry.
That's so. And then do the next one. Oh yeah.
So just going up the diminished scale. Diatonically, is that right? Yeah. So in between each one of these minor 6s up in minor thirds, you get that same thing up a minor third. So you're basically only dealing with. It's not an inversion, but it's a minor third up, right? Just as these are inversions, I don't know what they would call them. But for instance, that's just if you start on minor 6. What if you start on 7, dominant 7, then diminished? Now we get that in between chord. And then another dominant, then another one of those chords, another dominant, another one of those chords, another dominant, so on and so forth. So if we start on diminished, we know we get double diminished, right? Everybody knows that, or should anyway. But what about minor 7? Start on minor 7. Gives you that in between chord, which I don't know what you want to call it. I don't have a name for it. Maybe there is. Maybe we'll have to go ask Ludmila Ulela.
Or Holdsworth.
Or Holdsworth. And then you get another. So you're going to get 4 minor 7s, just like you did with your minor 6s. And in between, we get a different one of those chords. Right? So you can start on major 6 and do the same thing. Now we have that in between chord and our 4 major 6s. Right?
Very cool.
You can so we've got minor 6, major 6, dominant 7, half diminished. Right? Am I missing one? Major 6, minor 6, dominant, minor, half diminished, diminished. I think that's it. And that's just in the. There may be one more. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, that's a lot right there.
Yeah.
So so do you know the diminished scale? Is the thing I always ask my students. It's like, but all those chords are in there. You look for people who know the function of their instrument really well, who are like-minded, and that's maybe more complicated than it sounds. You want people who, I want, not you, I mean not one, but like I look for people that really know how to do their role, but that can come along for the ride, but know when enough is enough. And that's the thing, because in the style that I play, it can get kind of crazy sometimes, but I need people that know how to just not do anything as well, and that's not always easy to find. You want a guy that grooves, but has something interesting to say. You don't want somebody to just play behind you. You want somebody who knows when to add and knows when to not, and has enough confidence that then when they do it, they're strong about it. I think that's really, because that's how I try and play in rhythm section, you know.
Can you talk about making your transition from pianist to
the operation?
Yeah.
Well, can I? I think it's something I've kind of wanted to do for a while, but been kind of scared.
Like for how long?
You know, well, I sang a lot in high school.
Okay.
And then I became a serious pianist, and why not? Singing is, it's something else. It's entertainment, And then you learn that you start to really love singers as you get, more experience and stuff.
But you have to play with them. So.
And you have to play with them. And when you're playing with a great singer, it's so much fun, But I wrote some of the lyrics for this record that's coming out a long time ago, and I've been singing them at home for my friends, once in a while or whatever, but never took it seriously as far as having to breathe and pitch and all that stuff, So I was kind of not bored, but I was really looking for something new to learn, And it was about 3 years ago, and actually I went to your dad's place to record a demo, just for myself. I thought I'll go someplace where I can record, so it's just me and George, and I recorded 7 or 8 tunes. And I thought my goal was I'm going to give them to some people, maybe they want to, not give, but I would see if anybody's interested in singing these pieces, because I'm not using them and they're just sitting there kind of thing. And I was, proud of some of the lyrics and stuff, and I thought it would be a good thing to get it out, somehow. So then when I recorded it, I thought, wow, if maybe I was to really work on this, I could get it to a level where it would be presentable, But it was the first time that I really had that, I heard it and it didn't suck that much, So I thought, well, what if, I had never tried to sing seriously. And I thought, well, what if I tried? And, I had the time, and so I took some lessons. This woman named Madeline Palmer, and
is she a classical teacher?
Yeah. Wow. She used to teach at McGill, and she was all about the breathing. And the first lesson, she had me on the floor doing this with my stomach, and I'm 45 years old, or 44, I guess, whatever, 3 years ago, and it's like being an adult when you learn, but it's something you've been involved in music your whole life, but yet it's something else, right? So it was daunting, but I found it very invigorating, actually, and she's a super exciting kind of teacher, like, enthusiastic. So I had to, I still don't know much about that stuff, but I worked really hard on it, for positions in the mouth, for sounds, vowels, and especially about the breathing and stuff. And in a really short period of time, which is good news for anybody who wants to sing, is my pitch improved a lot. Because I thought, I don't sing on pitch that well, so I guess I don't have it, which is, kind of dumb, because technique is technique. Why should it be different for the voice? So anyway, I worked on it pretty hard, and I have a lot of work to do on it. But that's just that side of it. The hardest thing was singing for my friends, because all my friends are great musicians,
right.
And the first thing people assume is that you're singing because you want to make money or something. Whereas you can see my stuff is still as complicated. It's the same music as I've always done, but it's really great way to express yourself. It's way more personal, and even at that, my music is fairly emotional. But you add telling a story, you can't hide. And my lyrics aren't obscure. If you listen to them, you can tell what this thing is about. It's not poetry in the sense where you have to find out what this word means or whatever. So it's very plain, and some of it is very personal. So that was kind of hard. Stepping. I remember the first time I sang, my heart was beating so fast. It was really, it was really scary. I started with 1 tune a set, and I'm really, really into it. It's really fun, actually. It's very.